Good evening. Back again. What's this? Oh, I reckon this has got to be close to 6 weeks in a row. I've never committed to anything that long in my life. Hope everybody has had a great week, and I'm going to wait and see when you arrive or you're here to have a listen. Give me a little hello in the message box. Let me know that you're here. And of course, we're talking about empaths tonight. Or the question was, are you an empath? And I'm curious to find out. So I think maybe tonight you should definitely give me a message. You should give me a comment that just says maybe just in a little one saying if you think you are an empath. So just maybe a little hands up, or yes I am, or I'm not sure. And let me know, because I am curious to see what people think. I've taken some notes tonight to talk about this subject because I had so much to say. Even more than normal, can you believe it? Because of course, hello Delia, hey Paula, an empath for sure. You definitely are. I know Paula is as well. And most people tonight, 100%. Well done, Lisa. Most people tonight that are going to be listening to this live show or even watching it again on YouTube, you were drawn to this because of the word empath. It resonates with you. So hello, Kate. Most definitely. And that's what we want to define tonight a little bit, that empath, and letting everybody know that maybe you're not actually crazy. It's quite often the environment we're in and I guess our circumstances, the things around us, obviously that being the environment like I just mentioned, also people, places, events. So I think we might start off first of all with what makes an empath, or what makes you an empath, or some things that can make you an empath. There are so many different types. That's the one thing about being an empath. There are, just like witches, just like many things, there's many different types of empaths. So you don't have to tick all of the boxes to be one. Like I said, we're going to have a look at all the different ways that being an empath can affect your life as well. We're going to have a look at also, I guess, healing the empath, because we definitely need that. So we're going to start off tonight, just letting a few more people join in. Hey, Robin. Yep, an empath. Oh, great audience tonight. Because we'll all understand each other a little bit as well. Normally, you kind of know when you meet another empath, maybe by the way they speak. You kind of get that feeling of sometimes your tribe as well. But doesn't mean you have to get along with them, but often you can tell if somebody is an empath because you see those things in yourself. So I'm going to start off tonight. Like I said, I've written some notes and I haven't quite got them in order, but that's okay. When have I ever had order? I'm going to list a few things here, and I want you just for yourself to kind of count how many of these you can say yes to. Now, this is not a quiz. If you only say yes to one and not the others, that doesn't mean you're not an empath, but it does help kind of niche down maybe where or what field you are an empath in. So we're going to talk about some different points here. Hey, Angela. I'm not an empath, I think, but I think I'm intuitive. Now, that's Hey, Charlotte. Yes, you are an empath. Actually, just Angela, that's a very interesting question, and I do want to just kind of write that down. Oh, I just had peanut butter on toast and a hot cup of tea, and this is a little heavy. I'm sure you can all relate. My pen working. I'm not an empath, but I think I'm intuitive. I just want to remember that because I actually want to answer that. That was something I was thinking about earlier. And is there a difference? And I think there is a difference. And can you be one and not the other? Yes. It's a bit like that saying that I've heard around the place. All psychic mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. I don't believe that to be true either. And I'm not saying a psychic medium can't also be a psychic, but it doesn't mean that, not all mediums that I've met are psychic. For me, when I hear the word psychic, it maybe thinking more along the lines of someone who's predicting the future, who is talking about our future lives. And I do know many mediums that don't do that. They focus more on the mediumship and the past loved ones and past experiences. So yes, I've never really agreed with that, and not a lot of people are going to like it, but that's okay. Let's have a look at some of the things that may make you an empath. And like I said, sometimes we don't know how many things we have because it's so normal to us. It's like if someone says to me during a reading, oh, I just get a headache every day. It's normal. I'm like, it's not normal to get a headache every day. It's become normal. So being an empath, quite often, these things that you felt as a kid and what you've grown up with now as an adult, you're like, well, it's just normal for me. Isn't everybody else the same? Not at all. And I'm pretty sure with most of the people here that have put their hand up to say, yes, they're an empath, can probably tell me about a narcissistic relationship they've been in their life, or a narcissist, whether that be a partner, a parent, a friend, a work colleague. You've probably experienced one, because for an empath, you're a bit of a magnet when it comes to that narcissism coming in, or narcissistic relationships. We kind of can't help it. So let's start with this little bit of a list that I put together. I was just thinking about the things that I know I relate to. Yes, I'll put my hand up. I'm an empath. And of course, with my work, psychic medium as well, and love doing my readings. But being an empath, again, slightly different to intuition. And that's why I've written Angela's message down, because I want to have a look. Yeah, I'm both. Yeah. But not to yourself. I got to go through my list, or I'm going to start jumping subjects. So let's start with my list and what can make us an empath. You take on other people's emotions as your own. This is a very good example. All right, just say one morning you get up and you're excited. You're going to go and have coffee with a friend, and you're looking forward to it, and you're in a good place. Your work's good, your home's good, your relationship's good. Just one of those sweet moments. And you go and have coffee with a friend, and she's got some issues going on. Her marriage at the moment is struggling, and she's talking about divorce, and she's, maybe got some depression going on and anxiety and all of those things going on. Yes, I know you're intuitive too, Lisa. I know, because I'm intuitive. So you go and have coffee with your friend, and then you come back into the house, and next minute, you're arguing with your partner. You're feeling very anxious, and your partner's kind of looking at you like, hang on a second, when you walked out the door, we were good, and now when you've come back into the door, we have problems. And what's happened there is, as the empath, you've gone for coffee with a friend, and because we feel and we take on board other people's emotions, you've then gone, oh, I must be unhappy. This is my unhappy emotion in a relationship, and you've brought that home. But we can do that with everything. Okay, so remembering it's not just about relationships. You could visit a friend, because we don't just take on the emotional things. You may be the kind of empath that also takes on the physical things. One of my favorite parts of my reading is being that medical intuitive. And of course, part of that for me, empathy comes into it. I will physically feel somebody's pain or discomfort or problem that's going on in their body. And I'm drawn to it. This happened to me many moons ago, if I'm talking about my early 20s, when I was really refining what I do, and I was sitting next to someone, and I was like, my shoulder, and then just happened to mention to them, I said, hey, have you by chance got a sore shoulder? And yes, they did, and they were looking at having to get surgery and things like that. I had taken on that physical pain. However, I do notice in that case, once I recognize it with the person, it tends to go. And that's how I also know, that it's not my pain as well. So, of course, taking on other people's emotions and also physical pain. That's usually a big sign that we're an empath. Suddenly, sometimes experiencing overwhelming emotions when we are out in public. Absolutely. Good example here, you're in a good mood, you're in a good place, you're going to go into the Eka, you're going to go into the show, you're going to have a look around at the pavilions, you're going to go on some rides, you're going to buy some strobe bags, you're going to have some fairy floss, and you get in there, and within half an hour, the crowds, the people, you can be feeling very overwhelmed, sadness, excitement, whatever's around you, and quite often, within an hour or so, I'm like, oh, I've got to kind of get out of this space. Because you're feeling everything that's going on around you. So really crowded public places, or just places in this could be several people in the room, just 2 or 3. It could be one person and you can feel overwhelmed. But do be careful, if you're setting yourself out for a day where you're going to go shopping for the day, or you do have an event to go to where there's going to be a lot of people, if you can find the opportunity just to step out for a little bit every now and then, kind of have that breather, have that moment, and then come back in again so that you're not just in that energy all the time. As we start to get through these, towards the end of this discussion, I'm going to talk about ways that you can combat that and ways that you can deal with it. Hates crowded places. But I think empath can be quite hereditary. You'll often find with these things, they kind of run in the family, a bit like narcissism can. But also, when we talk about all different types of things, being psychic, magical things, anything really, being a good cook, being an athlete, these things can all run down through the family. Yes, she is a little empath. And of course, we all were at some stage. And there's actually a point I'm going to get to a little bit further on here that's very interesting to do with our childhood. You feel sick and shaky around certain people, absolutely, and you're not sure quite why. Everything looks good, they look lovely, they don't seem to be a threat, but something doesn't sit right. You need to listen to that. That's something else as an empath, being able to learn what this feeling is that you're getting. Because there's butterflies in our stomach come in 2 ways. They come with excitement, but they also sometimes come as anxiety and a warning. I've had, women say to me, oh, I've got a date coming up, and every time I think about him and I look at his text message, I get these weird butterflies in my stomach. And I'm like, just figure out if that's your body saying I'm excited or run. Okay, and sometimes we never think about kind of defining that. Is this anxiety because of the situation that's presenting, or is this excitement? So just remembering that as well. Hypersensitivity to noise. That doesn't mean that you can't listen to loud noises. I love nothing more than putting my headphones in, having them on absolute max, huge bass, and trying to blow my eardrums. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love going to concerts, and as a kid, I was front row, I was in front of that speaker. I loved it because I loved the sensation. I can feel the beat and the music going through my body, and it kind of blanked everything else out. But of course, crowded places, that hustle and bustle going on around you can be very hard to handle, but also quiet sounds. I can't stand if I can hear a clock ticking at night when I'm trying to get to sleep, because I'm going to hear every single tick, okay, and I'm going to wait for the next one. So noise can be an interesting thing when it comes to being an empath. You understand where people are coming from. Not judging people, because you have empathy for how they feel. You may not have been in their situation. Anyone else's noise? You may not have been in their situation. You may not have actually experienced it, but you have empathy because you have understanding about how they feel, because you can literally feel how they're feeling. Does that kind of make sense? So, there's things that I've never done before, but I will have clients that have done these things, and I can empathize with that. I can feel what they're feeling in that moment. People turn to you for advice. Now, empaths have a lovely kind of energy. We're kind of that energy that people want to sit in. They like you to hold space for them. You often find people like to tell you their life story. I could pop you at the bus stop with your headphones in and a book, and someone would still come up and start talking to you. We just had this lovely warmth, I guess. Acceptance, maybe that understanding, that empathy coming in. So people often turning to us for advice when sometimes we need it. This is one as well. Tragic and violent events on here we go. Events on TV can completely overwhelm you. Okay, so that's because you're feeling it. I can't watch a movie at all where there's anything where someone's being bullied or someone's being picked on, because the empathy that I feel in that moment, or someone's being embarrassed or anything like that, I will instantly go to tears, because I just can feel that. Not just because I may have experienced it, but because I can feel I have the empathy there. You can't say no to people. And that's something that we all can suffer from. Empathy, okay? We're not about being an empath, is kind of like, because you may feel how much that person needs you to do that, or that person needs something, and you're like, yes, because we always put everyone else above us, okay, and over us when it comes to decisions. So we may feel that. Like I said before, picking up being sort of that medical intuitive, but also feeling people's physical pain. You may be feeling really good and bright and full of energy, and then you sit down next to someone who's maybe very tired emotionally and physically, hasn't had a good sleep. Maybe their iron levels are low, and you'll be sitting there, and next minute you kind of go, oh, and you kind of feel that heaviness coming through. Ask me for money. Yeah, it's yours. Yeah, isn't that funny when we just have, because we're like, oh, I want you to feel better. I don't want you to feel that way. Delia asking, ask me for money. It's yours, lol. And yeah, we tend to give everything over. We give our energy to the point of exhaustion for ourselves, and the universe will quite often. We end up quite ill ourselves, our throat chakras getting sore throats, stomach problems, headaches, and it's almost like our physical body goes, enough, you need to rest, and you need to get rest. You become overwhelmed in intimate relationships. Absolutely. Okay, there is a whole lot of emotion going on. And not only are you trying to understand what you're feeling from the other person, you're also trying to understand what you're feeling. And it's very hard to divide that. Now, when we talk about close relationships, this doesn't just have to be a partner or a lover. This could be a parent. This can be a friend. Especially at school, if you were bullied, because not only did you hear the words they were saying to you, but you also felt the hatred, or you felt what they were sending your way. So, it's quite, I guess, we can not hear the words, but we can definitely feel it. And quite often people that are empaths can be a little bit shy, can be a little bit withdrawn, keep their opinions to themselves. People pleasers, because we don't want to upset anyone, because we don't want to feel that way as well. And of course, we care about what they think. You're a walking lie detector. This was one that I thought, yes, quite often our instincts something's just not right. And even though it makes sense what they're saying, you're like, this isn't the truth. This isn't quite right. Trust it. Now, the problem we have here is usually we get the perfect message in. We get the right message. We receive the right signal. But our logical brain wants to go, oh no, they're a good person, I should help them, or of course they're going to be like me, and they're not going to be disrespectful. Just making sure that don't expect everyone that you deal with to be an empath or to be like you. And I think that's a pretty good life lesson. I love that saying and that quote, and I've talked about it before. When someone shows you who they truly are, believe it. When an empath wants to think better of that person, they want to believe in all the goodness of the world and that we can save them. We're very good at attracting, broken-winged birds or bullies and things like that, because they see our being an empath as a vulnerability instead of as a strength and something that they can take from us. So you'll probably find being an empath in life, you've had many kind of users come in and out, because it just tends to be how it is. They see a weakness there, and that's why we attract the narcissists, because they can see our empathy. We're going to give them lots of love. We're going to, try and make it okay. We're going to try and make it fit. Because we want to please. You cannot see someone in pain without wanting to help. We want to help everybody. If you drop your coin purse, we want to help you pick up your coins. If you've lost your house, we want you to come and live with us. If you don't have shoes on, we're going to give you our shoes. We want to give, okay, because we are naturally born healers. It almost feels like our job to want to heal people. But a bit like I've mentioned before, painter's house needs painting, the electrician's house, the light doesn't work. Most empaths do not give themselves the same amount of time, effort, emotion, self-love that they give out to everybody else. And normally because at the end of the day, you're so exhausted from being the empath that you don't have the energy to give to yourself. And again, I'm going to talk about ways that we can deal with that a little bit. Hyper aware of our surroundings. When you walk into a room, you already go, okay, what does this energy feel like? Is everyone in here happy? Have I just walked into an argument? Something's off in this space. Okay, so we'll do that as an empath. We'll kind of feel our surroundings, our room, even going into a place, like I said before, if you went to Movie World or somewhere like that, you're going to kind of walk in, you're going to have a feel, you're going to kind of have a, how does this place feel for me? Empaths usually don't like a lot of surprises because we're trying to prepare for how it's going to feel, because we're going to feel it intensely. If you're happy, you're really happy. If you're sad, you're really sad. Because emotion is almost like your superpower. You can feel it, but you can also project it a little bit. You make people feel good. People love your energy because, of course, you're probably going to bend over backwards for them, and you also want them to feel better. Especially if you're an empath. Most empaths struggle with mental health because, like I said before, we very rarely leave anything for ourselves. I'm so sorry. I'm not getting to see. I'm not reading the messages as I should because I'm just talking to you, doing what I do best. Let me have a little quick look here because I'm like, oh yeah, you're not assertive, yeah. It is a blessing and a curse. Yes, Lisa, you're right. You're the fixer. Yep. Yeah, yes, narcissism. It's put it in the Google, Katie. Have a look. You'd be very surprised how much that comes up, and there's so much to read about. Yeah, no time for self-love, James. Absolutely, because we're giving it out. We're giving it out. And then we kind of almost feel guilty if we do take those moments and do look after ourselves. Now, before I get on some more points that can make us an empath, I want to talk about something that I think is quite interesting. Can we become empaths, or do we have to be born one? I don't know. Was Roger Federer born the number one tennis player? He was born with an ability. He became the number one tennis player through training and, good genes, but he wanted it. So do I think being an empath is something we can build on? Yes. Can everybody be an empath? I don't think so. I've definitely met a few people in my lifetime that I can say to you have no empathy, or very little, and that's never going to change. But that's not our life lesson, that's theirs. But an interesting topic to mention here while we're talking about being an empath. Quite often, people that grew up in homes where there was some kind of abuse, whether you were yelled at a lot, whether your parents were, physically abusive, or maybe, your parents' marriage wasn't very good. Maybe you saw a lot of violence. You could have had brothers or sisters that beat the crap out of you, and you went through trauma, whatever that was. As you were going through those years, you almost fine-tuned being an empath because you started to read their body language, as in how it made you feel. You started to read the situation, the environment around you. Sometimes as kids, we didn't understand the words, but we know how it made us feel. So then as adults, every time we walk into a room, we're figuring it out. We're checking our surroundings. Am I safe here? Do I need to please people so they don't erupt and we're not, because we're often trying to protect that inner child. I know I've been guilty of that, especially through my 30s and now into my 40s. I'm mid 40s now, and I still find sometimes I want to go and do something, or I want to speak up for myself. But 7-year-old Raven is saying, shh, no, don't upset anybody. Keep quiet, just get through it. And I react the same way when that 7-year-old is now this age and is very capable of doing those things. So if you are an empath, which I know most of you are, maybe have a look at going back and looking at some of that inner child work, looking at our lower chakras, and what's going on there. Because if our lower chakras have those blockages, our spiritual chakras, our higher chakras aren't going to be working at their best. So an interesting thing to look at early childhood trauma and what you went through there, and was becoming the empath or strengthening those superpowers for your survival. Was it for your protection? Was it, how much did we increase that through those early years? I find that very interesting, and I find it very true in what I've experienced through my clients and through my own life as well. So I think that is something that we use as an empath. Let's keep going. I've got so much here for this. If you've got anything that you find my childhood trauma, hey Jen Cat, my childhood trauma, she's on Twitch, made me an empath. Absolutely. And it was a way of protecting. It was a way of keeping you safe. It was a way of getting through your day. having to, even before you walked into the house, know what you're walking into. And then being able to react. So we learn a lot of behaviors as an empath to not look like an empath. And then, we talk about kids that are sensitive or adults that are sensitive. Yes, you are. Tears are often when we can't find words and we're overwhelmed. But an empath will find that tears come for every emotion: happy, angry, sad, depressed, anxiety. It doesn't matter. Because the emotion is overwhelming, the tears tend to come. Okay, because we just can't find the words, which can be very frustrating if you're in an argument with someone, and it's a bit heated and you want to stand your ground and the tears are flowing and you're like, I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I'm angry. It's really frustrating to be able to do that. Hey, Lynn, how are you? Lynn, your name has got into the drawer. You went on and subscribed and commented on one of my Ask Raven Cooper YouTube videos and liked it. And so you've got into the drawer. And don't forget, we only have one more week. And I think I've only got about 35 entries in the drawer before I forget to go into for these gorgeous, here we go, Witches Tarot cards, and I'll post them out to you. So like I said, it's all the details will be on the video once it's gone live, where you can jump onto my YouTube, Raven Cooper 333, and go into the draw. It's only 35 people, my age. Love it. Delia, my heart, oh. You don't have to be harder. You just be who you are. And you'll probably find that's why it works for you. Because you are approachable. Hi, Scarlett. Good to see you. And Sharon. But that's that thing about being that empath, okay? So I'm going to run through a couple more things before. Like I said, watching the news is not great for anyone who is an empath because you're going to feel it. Or if you are going to watch it, be kind of like, you know what, I'm going to sit down for 10 minutes, I'm going to watch it, then I'm going to turn it off and I'm going to walk away. Because if you're listening to that news all day, if you're catching it every time you're going there. All right, so we have to be careful with that because outside, anything that's going on, you're gonna be feeling it. We talked about feeling the energy in a room. Have we got any questions? And we are judged for it, absolutely. Resonates so much, yeah. I don't know, James, did you follow my YouTube channel? I haven't seen it come up yet. It only gives it to me every couple of days. But I'm going to do it live next week on May 31st. It'll be the last day of May. I'm going to draw the winner out right here. I've been writing all the names down and then I'll be sending them out to you. They are a fantastic tarot deck. Like I said, I got myself a set as well and then couldn't help it. I was like, I've got to share. Be a bit of both. Having a quick look so I haven't missed any questions. So I guess most people listening right now know they're an empath. You usually know that you are and what you're experiencing that in life. Now that's going to bring a few problems up. Quite often we suffer from anxiety and depression. I got my hand up. Been there, still there. Sometimes there, often. But let's talk about some ways that we can actually manage this or we can work with it. So when emotional burnout happens when we are an empath, and that's something a lot of people don't talk about. They talk about, oh, you're an empath and you're so sensitive and can't you just turn it off and harden up and don't be that way. First of all, you were born that way. Secondly of all, don't ever change who you are. You can't be anyone but who you are. You are actually the perfect version of you. You are unique, and that's all that you need to know. And if you're okay with it, everything is okay. We're not going to take on other people's judgments, or we're not going to care what other people think, because I'm going to tell you something, they don't give a shit. Okay, they're thinking about whatever's going on for about 30 seconds, and then they're sinking back into their lives and their problems and their worries. So I'm actually going to be a little bit hard today on you guys. I'm going to say it's time for you to start looking after yourself. And I do want to hear about, next week, those that you're starting to do that, even if it's in little ways. So emotional burnouts. How do we, I guess, have less of them? And if we are having one, how do we deal with it? So firstly, own it. You are an empath, okay? What you say it to yourself. Look in the mirror 3 times at midnight. I am an empath, I am an empath, I'm an empath, and see what appears. It'll be you because you are one. So first of all, you've got to own it. If you don't know where you're bleeding from, where do you put the Band-Aid? Okay, so so then we're going to start looking at how do we change this, or not change it, but how do we work with it? Set some boundaries. She said the B word. Yes, set some boundaries, not just with others, but with yourself. Be prepared when you go somewhere how that's going to feel. Prepare yourself. Okay, I'm going to go, into a crowded place today. So I'm going to make sure that I've got, a snack where I can go off and kind of have a drink and something to eat. We're going to talk about why that's important. Being able to maybe have some headphones, some quiet time, being able to say to people, especially if you're going with other people, hey, I'm just going to go and have 5 minutes. I'm going to be back. Everything's good. And of course, our true friends accept all of those things. So setting some boundaries, not just with other people, but with yourself. At what point at the night, and not right now, because it's really important at 7:30 on a Tuesday night that you're on social media, but at what point of the night do you stop looking? Do you stop looking at the Facebook feeds or the Instagram feeds and feeling all that emotion and all that empathy? You're looking at your friends having troubles or issues going on, or they're having great times and you're crying because they're having a wonderful wedding, or you're having sad times because you see they've broken their leg. It's just that it's not that I don't want you to feel those emotions for your friends, but running through it all the time, sometimes we've got to step back. Empaths quite often need a little bit of solitude. We just need a little bit of time to just hide away from the world and be able to go, I need to reset. And also hide away from the world so you can figure out what are your emotions and what's really going on with you, not everybody else's and what's going on. Okay, now there's ways not to do this. Many moons ago in my late teens, when I worked in a supermarket, I'd been there for a little while, and some people came up and they sort of said to me, we all got chatting, and they were like, oh, you're actually really nice. And I was like, oh, why? What did you think? And they were like, oh, we thought you were really stuck up and arrogant and a bit of a bitch. And I was like, oh, no, not at all. Well, I can be. That's my Aries and my Leo moon that we talked about last week. But it wasn't that. It's because when I would go into that environment, there was lots of people I didn't know. I would keep to myself, not make much eye contact, go in, do my job, and come home, because I didn't want to take on all of that emotion. I didn't want to start hearing about everyone's world and relationships and favorite food or whatever it was, because I would get almost just drawn into it. And I was like, oh no, not at all. So sometimes that can be a problem too, because people don't understand why we isolate or why we pull back. But time alone is very important. Now, this doesn't have to be weeks. Even if it's just 15 minutes, just to check in with yourself. What's mine? What's really mine? Especially if you're a healer, if you're a reader, if you do any work on the holistic side, we're dealing with people all day. It's what we love to do. We're healing. But when we get home at the end of the day, who's healing you? Okay, how do we recharge those batteries? How do we rejuvenate? So I want you to think about that even tonight, even if it's just half an hour before you're going to turn the lights out, just put it away. Put away the emotional things. It's even hard to read a really good book because quite often you'll start taking on the emotions of the characters. I know I banged on a few weeks ago about watching Bridgerton, and that for me, the emotional ride and going up and down through everything that was going on, but I turned it off. I was like, no, there's no way I can put myself, to bed now and go to sleep, because I had all that emotion going on. So setting some boundaries for yourself. Okay, no, I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to allow myself to have some time, or I'm going to give myself a break. And boundaries with others, saying no. Okay, no, I can't do that. You already know you're busy, so why are you saying yes? Because you don't want to hurt their feelings, because you don't want to disappoint them, because you want to please them, because you want them to like you, because you don't want to feel anything else, especially if you have that childhood trauma there and you have, issues of rejection and not feeling loved, then we will do anything not to feel that again. So setting those boundaries. Here's something very important, no matter whether you're an empath or not, or maybe like we talked about before, we're going to talk about being intuitive. Is that different to being an empath? Grounding and protection. Now, I don't mind how you figure out how to ground. And I know there's a lot of books and teachers that'll tell you, spiritual teachers, that you can only do it a certain way. I'm going to tell you that's not true. Okay, there's many ways you can, just feel grounded. Those of you that used to come along to all of my classes on a Wednesday night, I would often lead you through, the beginning of every meditation. We'd bring that gold light down. We would relax the physical body. We'd put the roots of our tree into the ground. We'd bring up that earth energy, and then we would surround ourselves with white light. That is a grounding and protection exercise. Now, what you need to do is get in the practice of doing this maybe even a couple of times a day, but we can shorten that down. All right, so what you can be doing is, I can do it very quickly now because I've done it for quite a few decades. I can sit and go, right, and I literally just go tree roots down, and then I'm like, bubble. And so what that does for me is I get my connection with the earth, so I can exchange energy, I can send energy down, and my bubble of white energy, because I don't want to take anyone else's energy on. That's not my job, okay? So I can go for that cup of coffee with a friend. I kind of white light myself, and then it's going, I can talk to you, I can have empathy for you, I can exchange with you, but return to sender. I'm not taking it on board. I got enough of my own issues. I don't really need to carry anyone else's home. That doesn't mean you can't be there for them. But just as much as you don't want them to go home feeling like you are and taking home your issues, vice versa. Because if you do that with everybody, you're not going to survive. You're going to be rocking in the corner. Okay, so we have to make sure that we're protecting ourselves. When we talk about surrounding ourselves in white light, that's a visualization. That's about pushing out the energy that we need to feel protected. I know people that, I knew one particular gentleman who would imagine the cone of silence coming down from Get Smart, and that was his kind of way of putting this protection bubble around himself. I knew someone who you'd see them touch their watch, and when they did that, they would visualize themselves all on fire because they loved fire. It was a good thing for them. It meant that their energies were untouchable. So it's not about, it has to be that white light. It could be any color light where you surround yourself in that kind of bubble, or in any way. Some people putting up mirrors and reflecting and sending energy back as well. This is making you think. I know, I tend to do that to people. So being able to do that, move the energy. Now, I'm not going to tell you to go to the gym. I don't move unless I have to. I am not big on doing the big exercise things, but I do believe in a little bit of a walk, or even if it's just a moving of the energy, a little bit of a dance in the kitchen, anything like that. I want you to think about your energy like water. When we look at different ways of energy, whether it be feng shui or with chakras, we look at water as a symbolization of that. And if we have a bucket of water and we just sit it there, and we sit it there for a week, you can't drink from it. You got things growing in it. It comes a bit feral and a bit gross, and you can't touch it, okay? But if you go to a stream where there's running water, okay, that water's clear and clean and you can drink it because it's constantly moving, okay? It's not stagnant. So that could be even singing is a really good way to shift energy. If you're in the car, put on some Adele, belt it out. I love me some Eminem if I'm pissed off, anything like that, the artist and the chocolates. I take a little bit of both when the energy's down. But being able to figure out how can you shift energy a little bit, because it's important that we kind of move it. If you have gone and seen someone and they've really pissed you off, that can sit for days. When really you need to be able to find a way to shift it and move it. Self-love, not a word a lot of you will understand. You know it, but you don't practice it. So how do we start doing self-love? Start with the little things. It's hard sometimes to make big change, but how about you do me a favor? Okay, here's a challenge. I'm going to give you a challenge. It's Tuesday, so by next Tuesday night, and I'm going to start tonight, and even if watching this was your first thing that I'm talking about, every day for 7 days, I want you to do something for yourself that you love, or self-love. I want you to take a moment every single day or night and think, just listen to your heart whispers. What is it that you need? Or just something for yourself. Is it a cup of tea in 5 minutes? Is it just stopping and listening to your favorite song? Is it, I'm going to put moisturizer on every day, or I'm going to, make sure I'm going to start a jigsaw puzzle because I love puzzles. And every night I'm going to sit and I'm going to put 10 pieces in. And in that 10, while I put those 10 pieces in, that's my quiet time. That's my time to just reflect and just be in my energy. You'll know if you're an empath and at the end of the day you're exhausted because you can just sit and stare at walls. Honestly, you've run out of words and you don't want to think and you just could sit and stare at walls. So it's about finding what it is that we can start to do to self-love. Maybe it's 5 minutes meditation. It's all about doing those things where what is it that you love? Maybe it's even just having a look at your crystals. Maybe it's turning a couple of cards. Maybe it's watching, 5 minutes of your favorite TV show when nobody else wants to watch it, but you're going to do it anyway. Just little things. Start off little and we can build up. Do I want you to get to the point where you're doing massive self-love things and you're taking yourself for massages and you're having nice bubble baths, and which you could do as well? But there's a bit of a challenge this week, a little bit of spiritual work. We go to the gym and we look after the physical body. Let's look after the spiritual body this week. Once a day, listen to your heart whispers. I don't care if it's a piece of chocolate or, like I said, a cup of tea. Just start listening, because sometimes it's been such a long time since we've heard that voice, that self-love voice. So start doing that. Challenge accepted. Excellent. I want to hear all about it. And I will write down for the next 7 days. I promise I'll try hard. No, I will. The 7 things that I try and do in those 7 days. And I'm going to say try, and you too. We're going to do attempt it. If you make that cup of tea but it ends up going cold because your friend calls and you decide for an hour you're going to be there to listen to them because they're a priority all of a sudden, even though it's midnight and you should be in bed. Well, at least we had the thought. Just so we can start to change that thought pattern. Like I said before, time out to think. Quite often with me, when I'm handed something that's quite frustrating, or the people in the room around me are frustrated and we're trying to fix a problem, I will take myself out of the room for 5 minutes, go for a walk, just to kind of get away from their feelings and emotions and thoughts about the situation and how I truly feel. Here's a good example. I am obsessed with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing going on at the moment. I'm watching videos all the time. It's my biggest distraction. And I love that. Okay, so that little bit of a distraction there where I get a little bit absorbed in it. Does it make me feel emotion? Yes, it does. But I enjoy it. So I think, and I was going to get to another point with that, but I think I'm going to just move on and bring it back to you. Meditation. It's great. Not everyone finds it easy. Okay, so meditation doesn't have to be closing your eyes and zenning out and going to that lovely place. If it is, fabulous. I want you to do that. But meditation for you, yes, Kate Moss, oh look, we are all over this. But again, I have to make sure I don't watch it just before bed, because I will go to bed thinking about it. Or checking myself, like, oh my God, am I like her? What am I doing? What is she feeling? But the reason we're drawn to this is because we can feel the emotion. We're reading what they're saying. You're reading when you're watching that, Amber's reactions. You're watching Johnny's reactions. You're sort of going, how does he make me feel when he does that? So back to just meditation though. Meditation can be lots of different things, and we're starting to see that advertised more now on television. It can be listening to music, going for a drive, being in the garden, cooking, anything that just makes you escape for a little while. Because trust me on this, I guarantee you, if you put down all your problems, worries, stresses, the low energy, the being the empath, the things that are going on in your world, if you put them down for 20 minutes, when you come back, they'll still be there. They're not going anywhere, but stepping away from them for 20 minutes, or like I was getting to earlier, if I was like, talking about the Johnny Depp thing, if I was on the jury there, okay, and we go into the deliberation and we're going to sit there and decide whether or not who is, innocent, who is guilty, I would literally have to step away from the rest of the jurors for about 10 minutes just to really get my head around how I truly feel about it, because I would be feeling a lot of the emotion with the people in the room and how they felt. So it's the same in a business meeting or a family meeting or anything like that. Sometimes we need to step away from it to sort of figure it out before we step back in. But you will definitely feel other people's emotion around you. Like I said, meditation can be whatever you want it to be that gives you some escapism. Doesn't bother me at all. Bridgerton almost was a bit of meditation for me, because it took me well out of my world. Healing trauma and inner child. We mentioned that earlier. Okay, we really need to address that, because a lot of us have had inner child issues, and it doesn't have to just be, trauma is many things. It can be from losing a parent, it can be bullying, it can be victimization, it can be abuse, it can be a domestic abuse. It doesn't matter it does matter, but we're not kind of trying to define the trauma. It's about knowing that those things were traumatic for you, and having to deal with that. There's a lot of meditations you can do free online. There's a lot of therapies that you can do online to help start work with that inner child, and you can also go to professionals for that as well. Also looking at our past lives, if that's something that resonates with you, and things that we've experienced. No worries, no worries. Yes. Oh, well, thank you. Yes, you can watch the rest of it tomorrow, Rachel, because this will be up on, cleaning, says Lisa, up on YouTube and on the Facebook, so you can watch it again. Lisa said here, cleaning for her is a great form of meditation. I know so many people that do that. They're like, I went home and I cleaned my whole house. And I'm like, why would you do that? And they're like, because it felt good, because I could get lost in cleaning the house, put the radio on, and it just kind of helps them, because sometimes we need to keep the conscious mind busy. And the subconscious mind can work things out. Be your own best friend. That's my advice a lot in life for anything, but especially as an empath. If an empath was feeling like you do right now, if your friend was feeling like you do right now, what would you tell them to do? So if you're sitting in a very crowded place and you're feeling very overwhelmed and you're not feeling well, the nausea is kicking in, the headache, the room spinning, feeling very disconnected, the fog, it's very surreal sometimes. What would you tell your best friend to do? You'd be like, girl, boy, put yourself first, go outside, take 5 minutes, or just find a quiet place for 5 minutes and put yourself first. You would tell your friend to do that. So how about, maybe that's a bit of a challenge this week, making sure that you're being your own best friend in these scenarios. Usually that's the best advice. Because you're going to look after your best friend. You're an empath. Of course, you're going to look after your best friend. So looking after yourself that way as well. Those of you who likes crystals, I love me some crystals. Not the meth, just the nice ones that come out of the ground. But I was thinking too, maybe next week, and you can give me a little hands up if you'd like to do this. It's been a little while since I've talked crystals, and I was looking at all of my crystals actually today and getting a few out that I haven't been around before. Well, I haven't had out and been using, or I haven't worked with before, even though I had them. So I was thinking of an upcoming show being all about your crystals, how you can work with them, what you've got, and different ways to work with them, identifying some, answering questions on what would be great crystals to use. You can maybe even send him some photos. Maybe you've got a random crystal and you don't know what it is, and I can identify that for you. But I think that would be a great one as well. Love them. We love crystals. Tamika, you can never have enough crystals or tarot cards. Okay? Your psychic said so. All right, so crystals we can use as an empath, and you may have some of these at home. If you can only have one crystal in your entire life for anything, it should be a clear quartz, okay? I've got some beautiful ones here. I have lots and lots. This is one here, okay, our clear quartz. Now, it's the master crystal. You can use this for absolutely anything, okay? So that's across the board, whether it be because you're an empath and you want protection, or you want healing or anything like that. A clear quartz, it's a master crystal. It's also a power pack if you put it with any other crystal, but you can use this one definitely for protection, clearing for yourself as an empath. Selenite. We love selenite. Selenite's got that white kind of chalky feel to it. I probably should have, this is a selenite sphere. You often see them in towers. They look like icebergs. Selenite is very angelic. It's very nurturing. It is good for your inner child. It's going to help to bring that healing in. Selenite often too, you can use that as a grid. You put 4 pieces in the corner of your house. It's very protective and very angelic. So selenite's a good one. If you've got some black tourmaline or black obsidian, they're both going to give you that super protection when it comes to not taking on other people's energy. Okay, and not taking in the things that are around you. So Tamika said here, I accidentally dropped my selenite and it split in 2. Can I use it? Hells yeah, no, you just got 2 of them. And that's the beauty of it. It doesn't matter if it broke in half. They break naturally in the ground. When we're getting big pieces of amethyst like this, these are geodes being broken. So you don't need to worry. You just got more now. I think and I'm glad that you asked that question. I get a little bit sad when I hear that people drop crystals or they break them and they sweep them up and put them in the bin. I'm like, stop. What are you doing that for? Because there's so many uses that we have for our crystals. So definitely use it. And you've got 2 now, so even better. Rose quartz, self-love. Okay, it is that crystal of love. It's good for relationships. It's good for sleep and all of those things. I am going to wrap this up shortly so I can turn just a couple of cards tonight. I don't have a lot of time to turn a lot. Hematite. Okay, that's the one that looks like liquid metal. It's the one that's often magnetic, and you can get the bracelets for arthritis and things like that. Now, if we break a hematite open, it's actually red on the inside, okay, because it's iron ore that's been heat treated. Now, hematite is fantastic for grounding. Like we talked about earlier, putting your feet on the ground. I didn't mention that when I talked about grounding and protection. I talked about the bubble of white light or finding a way that you can put out that protective energy. But also, as an empath, be careful that you don't get up in the morning, walk on a cement floor, walk out on your cement garage, get in your car on tarmac roads, get to work, walk on a cement footpath, go into a building, into an elevator, up to another level, on cement, home, on cement. You get home, you get into bed, and at no point in that day did your feet touch the earth. And you're wondering why you're feeling a little ungrounded. It's because you're not in connection with it. We're meant to walk on the earth. Actually, I don't wear shoes unless I have to. And that's been me my entire life. You come for a reading with me, I won't have shoes on. I never used to drive with shoes on. If I didn't have to wear them, I wouldn't. Because I enjoy that protection that connection with the earth. So as an empath, making sure you get plenty of time out in the environment. Water is fantastic for an empath. So, having a shower, going for a swim, getting in the bath, getting in the ocean, really good for helping shift and clear those energies. We think about water being emotional as well, water signs and things like that. So that's a really good way, or even sitting at the water's edge. If you're not one that likes to get into the ocean or into the lake or whatever, water always has all the elements around it. You think about the beach, it has obviously the water, it has obviously the earth being the sand, it has the wonderful breeze, so we have air, and we have the sun, which is the fire. So the beach brings together all four elements. Yes, magnesium, fantastic as well. And also that magnesium, great for those muscle spasms, that tiredness, that exhaustion that we have going on as well. So we talked about the rose quartz, amethyst. You can see some of the beauties that I have here. Purple, fantastic for healing, fantastic for trauma. Good for our third eye as well. Relaxation, release. It's great for healers to wear, especially that black obsidian if you're a healer. Smoky quartz is fantastic for absorbing excess energy. So actually, it's also good if you sit in front of a computer all day, you should have a piece of smoky quartz between you and the computer so you don't take on something called electronic smog. Don't quote me. It's something like that. Now, obviously tonight, talking about, being an empath, it's certainly not a 1 hour's conversation. It is a huge conversation, and we will touch on this again. And this is why, I have that email address, askravencooper at gmail.com. You can send me in, how can I, clear my house, or how can I deal with being an empath, or how can I deal with my clairvoyance and things like that. I'm happy to try and answer those as we go. So we've touched on a lot of things tonight, a lot of stuff to absorb, a lot of things to take on board. Yes, Lynn, living on an island is very much like one step from heaven. We love that. So I'm going to get my cards out because I've only just noticed the time, and I know a lot of you, like me too, like to have a little bit. Going to shut down tonight. You're going to have some time to chill. And we've already been taking note on who needs a card. Yes, James, you are up for a card. Oh, your first thought, Angela, when you broke your selenite into two pieces. My first thought was you broke reason something. You need to share it. That's funny for D'Amica. You need to share it. No, you don't. You can keep it. Where's my cards? Oh, here they are. And again, another question that we might even look at a little bit next week is there a difference between being an intuitive and being an empath? Can you be both? You can be both. And being an empath means that you feel the environments around you and what's going on. I think an intuitive is more about what's coming up, what's around you. When we're looking at events, maybe more with that. But you can be an intuitive healer where you intuitively know where to heal the body or the spirit. So intuitive is a very interesting word, and we might look at that in one of the coming weeks and what that's all about. Here's my cards. So, James, you are first. What have we got here? We've got James, we've got Robin, we've got Belinda, and we've got Tamika. Yes, big week, 15th of June. Yes. And wishing you all the very best, Delia, for that one. Oh, Oh, before I forget too, what are you doing this Saturday morning, the 28th of May? You're going to come along to my workshop? You should. I have my intuitive development and pendulum workshop on this Saturday from 9 till 12. It's at Strathpine. It's at the Elfshore Community Park, Community Centre. And if you do text me or message me through Facebook or send me an email, I can send you all of the details. It's $85 per person. You will also take home a pendulum, and you're going to learn to use that pendulum with a pendulum chart. I'm going to teach you lots of different ways to use that pendulum as well. But it is mainly, the first couple of hours, that 3-hour workshop is going to be intuitive development. How do we work those muscles? How do we move forward with these things when it comes to what is your psychic sense? And me sharing my experience on how I became the full-time reader, and this doing what I absolutely love to do. Everybody can do this. Everybody, I think, has intuitive muscles there. We just need to work them. So if you would like to come along, please let me know. I do have a few more spaces left, and you can message me through Facebook, or you can send me an email to this Ask Raven, as you can see here, just at gmail.com. It's okay, my calendar's just here. So yes, this Saturday. But I have a few things coming up. Just going to shuffle these cards so I can give James a card. I think we've got all the cards that we need tonight. So if you've put your name down. Okay, let's have a look. And also, I have my high tea and chakra workshop coming up at Reed's Place at Strathpine. If you love yourself a lovely vintage high tea with all handmade foods and a gorgeous setting. It's beautiful out there, and you want to learn all about your chakras. You can book that. That's on the Facebook page as well. And I have a chakra workshop coming up that I will be teaching without the high tea. You'll have to bring your own on the 25th of June. I love teaching intuitive development. But if I had to recommend a workshop, if you could only do one workshop in your life, I recommend my chakra workshop. In 3 hours, I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know about chakras. You can go off and learn more, but you do that 3-hour workshop with me. You won't have to buy another crystal book. You won't have to buy a book on auras. You won't have to buy a book on color therapy. You will be able to go, you won't have to buy, like I said, a crystal book. You are going to learn all about yourself. You're going to find out what your blockages are. You're going to find out why maybe your clairvoyance isn't where it should be, because when you talk about those lower chakras, it's about getting to know why you make the decisions you do. Okay, to move forward in life as well. So we have to let things go. Like I said, this is my favorite workshop to teach. You will get the 7 chakra crystals to take home with you. You get a necklace that you can wear with them. You get a booklet to work with as well. But for me, I learned about chakras in my early 20s because I wanted to know why I did the things that I did. I wanted to know why I had these fears or these blockages and what I had going on. Over the next 20, 25 years now, I have studied these, and what I've done is gone along and gone, right, these are the things that you need to know, and where you can start, and when you'll be able to action this straight away with the things that you start with and that you can take home that you get from the workshop. So then again with that, if you want to book that, I'm going to put the poster up again, but you can message me through Facebook, or you can send me a text message. My number will be anywhere on Threefold, but I'll put it up again. Or email me again, AskRavenCooper at gmail.com. I'm so excited about doing my workshops again. I so miss teaching at Threefold. And so now that things are kind of lifting again and restrictions, being able to get a hall and do this is super exciting for me. All right, let's throw just knocking stuff everywhere. All right, James, this is your card. Let's have a look. I'm going to go with this one. So, okay, James, I like it for you, mate. This is the Wisdom card, and this is saying here, especially if you were looking for work, you're about to go on a new journey here. You have all the wisdom you can to do this, okay? So you should move forward into this, but the problem is he keeps looking back at home, and he's worried about his responsibilities maybe to his family or friends. Empath. He's worried about the things that he's too busy looking back to look forward. If I was looking at traditional tarot, I'd be looking at the Fool card. And this is where he kind of steps off the cliff and just trusts that the net's going to appear, that the universe is going to provide. And everyone's like, oh my God, how come you didn't fall to your death? And the Fool is like, because I chatted with the gods earlier and the net appeared. So putting out your intention now, your manifestation. But this is saying to you here, time for a new journey, time to move forward. You're ready for this, but you are a bit fearful here of leaving your comfort zone or your family and moving forward. But a new journey coming your way, and I love that. Okay, who's next? So we have Robin. Oh, thank you, Tamika. It's just my freaking passion, man. It just makes me feel good. And I want you to feel good because I'm the empath. I know what it feels to feel shit. So I want people to feel good. And with empath, because of course I'm bursting with energy, you tend to take that on as well. And that's going to make you feel good. Okay, so looking here at Robin now. Robin, if you're looking for the home here, it can be work and also security, but saying here some recognition. You might get an offer soon here that comes your way. It's 3. It's the number of creation. So something new here coming down. But he does have his head down, so he may not be able to see it right now. But some recognition and reward coming in for you around either homework, money, or security. And I love this. And like we said, the number 3 here. So something new. But you may not be able to just see it just yet. Or maybe you need to put your head up and kind of look around to be able to see it. But some recognition and reward. And I think, Robin, that's a great card for you. All right. Now, Belinda. Getting through. Quick one tonight because I've chatted away. Okay, Belinda, I'm going to go all the way up here. This one. Okay, now this is a very interesting card, Belinda, because it's about the heart. It's about the heart chakra, and it's about love. And Belinda, what this is saying here is we're about to go on a whole new journey. Somewhere we've not been before, and we're going to move forward, and someone else can come in here and help you with this. It's a very emotional journey, but it's about being able to love the journey again, getting to a point where you can wake up in the morning and you can love where your life's going. But quite often to do this, we have to see there's nothing before this water here. We kind of need that fresh start. So this is the love begins. This is about love coming into your world again, self-love, love for life, but a new journey coming your way. It's going to be very emotional, and there will be someone around you to be able to experience this with, but it's about moving forward, but in a very good way, and leaving the past behind. So I like that. Now we're up to Tamika. I know I'm doing them a little quick tonight. It's because I talked so much in the beginning. I do like that thing about, the one thing you were criticized as a kid about, the one thing that everyone kind of picked on you for, or I was always told to shut up, stop asking so many questions. Will you just be quiet? You talk too much. They say is your superpower when you get older. And guess what? That's what I do. Oh, Robin, I'm glad you loved that. All right. So, Tamika, you're going to make me dig through the end here. I want to go into this pile of cards. It's your birthday on Friday, Belinda. Happy birthday. Sending you lots of birthday wishes. Mwah. Make sure you blow out a candle and make a wish, girl. You deserve it. All right, Tamika, you ready for this? Serious. The power card. This says here that for a little while you felt powerless about the situations around you. And here you're going to get your power back. You're going to get your strength back. You're going to become that lion again. You're going to roar. It's a bit like that saying, she remembered who she was and the game changed. This is that card, okay? So this tells me that you felt a bit powerless, but that power is going to come back. You're going to feel like you're back in charge of that situation, and kind of that lion there, of course, being the king of the jungle, the king of his own sort of domain. That's you just kind of owning your shit and being like, I'm amazing. Let's move forward. But here, I love this because it means the power's coming back. I do have empathy though, because it means that you have felt a little bit powerless with something around you. But this is going to move forward. You're very welcome, GenCat78. Loved having you here. Thanks for the company. All right, Miss Lynn and her fabulously cute dog that she has that keeps me highly entertained in the morning when I'm having my coffee and having a look at social medias. And your little puppy pops up and you are so funny with it. I love it. I love it. All right, let's have a look, Lynn. I'm going to head down here. Oh, maybe this one. Okay. Lynn, we need to talk. This is my harmony card. Yep, it's exactly what it looks like. This is harmony. We have the fairy tale. We have this lovely fairy lights going on, having that happily ever after kind of coming in, that fairy tale kind of story. Now, I just want you to remind you something about this card when it comes to fairy tales, especially when we talk about, the classics like Cinderella. And everyone talks about, oh, well, at the end, the prince comes in and saves her. He's her knight in shining armor. Let's get something straight. All right, Cinderella got herself to the ball. She got herself out of that castle. She built her own carriage with some mice and some like little creatures helping her out. She got herself a dress. She got herself her shoes. She got herself a fairy godmother, and she got herself to that. Okay, she got to the ball, and then the prince came in. He did not save her. She saved herself. And then she found paradise. And Lynn, I think that's your story a little bit. You did something that took a lot of courage. You made some big moves. You loved yourself, you saved yourself, and now it's time for some romance. I want to hear about this. This is going to be fun. I love this card for you, Lynn. It's time for your happily ever after, and that's going to come in pretty soon. Miss Scarlett, now it's your turn for your card. Let's see what comes up. This will be interesting. I'm going to go down here. The waiting game. It says here, for a little while you've been cutting the same laps, going around in circles, contemplating things, and feel like time's kind of running away. You don't want to wait. It's kind of, no, I'm tired of wasting time. If you've been waiting to do something, now may be the time to do it, because this time round it'll actually grow something. There's a plant growing in these sands of times here. So if you've been waiting for the right time, if you've been waiting for the right moment, now's the time to action it. The waiting game is over, but it's purple because you probably already know what it is. You can kind of see what it is that you need to action. All right, who we got now? Miss Katie Maxwell. Oh, Kate. We used to sit in the car, talk for hours after our meditation groups. All right, let's have a look. I'm gonna go right down to maybe the third last card. All right, Kate. So around you at the moment, this is suffering in silence. A little bit extreme with the word suffering, but what it's saying here is you kind of got to the top of your mountain. Okay, she's got to the top of the mountain that she's been on for a while, and she's looking out and she's got to make a big decision. She's got to decide which mountain she's going to go and conquer, which mountain she's going to go and climb, but she can't tell anyone about it. Or maybe she feels like she can't speak about it. Or maybe it's just a very personal kind of decision that you need to make. But you're almost suffering in a little bit of silence. Or maybe it could be an example where you're working one place and there's another job that you want to go and look at, but you can't tell them where you're working that this is going on because it's not in your benefit. Or maybe you're seeing something unravel in front of you to do with maybe two friends or something, and you really can't have an opinion. You can't say anything. And here we're suffering in silence. So it just means that you've either got to make this big decision, or you've got to pick a team, or you've got to decide which way you're going. But it's maybe best that you keep it to yourself until you've made that decision, and then you're ready to move forward. It's blue, so it is really about speaking your truth. And sometimes we just need to sit and have a look at the decisions that we have before we do it. You know what, Sharon? Because you're cute, I'll fit you in one more. All right, Delia, let's have a look. Miss D. I'm going to go right in the middle. I'm going to go for that one. I love this card. Okay, this is my truth card. The truth will set you free. I think this is a card that's kind of about the universe revealing a lot to you now. Showing you what changes really need to happen, showing you what people are really like, showing you what's really going on in your world. And if you can look at this truth, it will set you free. A little bit of justice coming your way too. So if you were waiting for a claim or for something to come in or for just justice on your side, this coming in for you, it's going to set you free. And that's a really good thing for you. But sometimes it's very unpredictable as to what it's going to be. But the truth being told now, it's like the veil has been lifted. Justice will be served, but it will set you free. I love that card. All right, lucky last is Miss Sharon. Let's have a look. So next week, I was thinking about having the show all about working with crystals, how you can work with crystals, different ways, a bit of a show and tell. Or maybe there's subjects that you guys would like to cover or things that you're interested in. Like I said, you can drop me a message through Threefold on the inbox, or you can text me, or you can send an email to askravencooper@gmail.com, and I will definitely try and get those questions answered. Like I said when I started this, this isn't about me, this is about you guys too. I want you to find those answers to those questions that you have, and be motivated and get our crystals out again and get back into our spirituality, because we all know that the last couple of years it's been hard. It's been hard on everybody. Every human, I think every being on this planet is emotionally and physically exhausted. All right, let's have a look at this last card for you, Sharon. Yeah. Our parking, Kate. All right, let's have a look. You know what, Sharon? I'm going to go up here. Go up the other end and have a look. All right. Crown chakra. Ooh, jumpy. Crown chakra, all about right now, wholeness, oneness, your connection to the universe, your gods. Who are you praying to? Or, like with me, I just kind of ask the universe when I want to manifest. But it's about right now being really comfortable in your skin, and kind of maybe even asking you that question. Are you comfortable with your home? Are you comfortable with your work? Are you comfortable with your job? It's about making decisions now that make you feel whole. Not like we said with the empath, we give out and we give out, and it's about we need to look after self right now. And finding out what you believe in. But this says to me, you're going to start feeling really comfortable about your decisions, and knowing the things that you have to do. It's kind of like that awareness where we're like, yeah, I know what I need to do. I know where I'm headed now. But it can take a little while to get there. The crown chakra often, our last, obviously, chakra to develop, and it is our connection to our universe, just our gods. So getting back maybe in touch with your spirituality and making decisions to be whole again. And to fill those gaps, like to get the healing, and then making new decisions and moving forward. But I want them to be based on how it makes you feel. And that's easy to say, but maybe a little bit more mental health over dollars right now when it comes to decision making. But you're going to start feeling whole again, okay? And you're going to get that connection back with your gods and the universe, and I love it. Well, I have had so much fun tonight. I know I've gone over time. I've kept you all up. I couldn't help myself. I've had an absolute fantastic time. And like I said, this is next dog pick, look out. This is not, thanks, Lynn. Tonight, obviously, I couldn't cover everything about being an empath. And I couldn't talk, I wish I could talk more, and we will talk about that again. But had a fabulous time. Send me your questions. Try and take 10 minutes tonight, kind of shut off from the world before you go to bed, so we can try and clear that chatter that's going on. And of course, being an empath too, I haven't even touched on being an empath and how that relates to our pets, even our plants, our surroundings, because it's not just humans that we feel everything. And even the earth's pain a little bit if you're an empath that's connected with the earth. So have a great week. Loved seeing you all. As always, let me know if you want to come along to that workshop this weekend, the 28th of May. I'm super excited. I only have a couple of spots left. So do message me to book. And then my chakra one coming up in June. What did I say? Remind me again. June 25th. All right. Go and try and have a good night's sleep. Sweet dreams. And I will see you all next Tuesday. You know what that means. You know I love you. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye. Bye. Thank you.